Okay, so hi. This is basic gesture drawing demo. For those of you in Life Drawing 1, you're going to be doing Vine Charcoal on your newsprint. Your new Vine Charcoal, it's the stuff that looks like a stick. Could be a little skinnier, could be a little fatter than this. Um, the thing to keep in mind when you're working with gestures is you want it to be very fluid. So you don't want to move with like your fingertips. You want to move with your whole arm. So instead of holding it like this, like you would like a pencil, you're going to hold it between your thumb and your forefinger and then kind of cup it into your hand, but you'll notice it sort of gets in the way. So this long stick, what you want to do is you want to break it in half. And you want to use a shorter piece. So you hold it between your thumb and your forefinger. Just relax the rest of your hands around it. And then turn your hand almost as if you're sort of like drawing with your fingertip. And that way you can have lots of movement because gestures are about movement. They're about the rhythm and the flow. They're very much about trying to see the big things, the general shapes. So when you're talking about the body, in fact, anything that you're going to do a line gesture of, so this is a basic line gesture with a focus on direction. What you're going to want to do is you could think about, well, what is the path that my eye follows? So instead of thinking about like the edges and the outside parts of the body, you know, what you would normally think of when you do a line drawing, you're going to be drawing lines kind of through the middle of things. A lot of talking before I start, because once I start a gesture, it goes kind of fast, right? So what I'm doing to start with is I'm going to look at the pose, and I'm going to say, what is the longest, biggest, most general line that my eye can see? So you're going to need a timer of some sort if you're doing these at home. Hopefully we're in person beginning of the semester, but if not, you have to do it on your own. You need a timer, you need Vine Charcoal, a cloth, cotton rag might help, but you don't have to have that, and you need your newsprint. You're going to start your timer. Hopefully you're looking at a real person, but if you're not, then you're looking at a video or pictures, and you're going to want to set it so that it changes starting with 2 minutes, and then you're going to go down and you're going to do some 1.5 minutes, some 1 minute, some 30 seconds, and then try a 2 minute one again. My demos are going to be like 2 minutes and 1 minute. So I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to have my model take a pose. My daughter is hiding. She won't show her face, but I can do a drawing of her. So here we go. We start the timer. Go ahead and take a pose. And what I want to do, so she's standing there with her arms kind of spread out. And when I look at a pose like that, the big long line that I see, well, I see sort of this swooping thing that's kind of like a line. You want your gestures to be big on the paper. And then one leg kind of comes down like this, and the other leg kind of comes down. It's a little bit like a stick figure, but not really. It's not that systematic. You could do like an oval or circle for the head. And then as you keep drawing on the outside of this, then you can start thinking about, well, what are the outside lines or shapes that I can see, right? So if you're in the classroom, you're probably working from a nude model. At home, you can do these of clothed people. They don't need to be naked. Right? Not to do a gesture. Gestures are about the practice of drawing and observation. So I'm working my way from the most general lines to the most specific lines. My timer is at about a minute. So I do gestures pretty quickly. I can get a lot done in 2 minutes. You may still have a very basic, like hardly any lines at all. But it's definitely this, you know, you start with the that first line that I did was so super simple. And then I'm adding details on top. So by the time you get to the end of the 2 minutes, you might have something that is a little more specific, a little bit more detail, looks like a person instead of a bunch of random scribbly little lines. But your first line should be very, just that big, long, what's the direction that I see? And then you can start adding detail on top of that. And you draw for the entire time. And you don't slow down. So you notice as I'm drawing, like sometimes I'm kind of like rubbing over with my fingers and I'm changing things. That's okay. Okay. So I'm going to change my timer. I'm going to do one that is a minute. So quicker. I'll do one more. Your gestures should be, they can be a little bit smaller than this. You should be able to fit somewhere between 3 and 5 on a page. So I like to draw pretty big. I usually put maybe 1 or 2. When you do your gestures, it's okay if they overlap or if they go off the edge of the page. I'd rather see sort of big gestures that you can't quite fit on than a bunch of tiny little things where you could fit 10 or 12 of them on a page. You're not getting that sort of fluid movement. It sort of defeats the whole purpose of working on a big sheet of paper and practicing the movement and the rhythm of drawing if you try to cram your gestures into a very tiny space. So go ahead and take another, there you go. Okay, so this one, the line that I'm seeing, it's off to the side and then down one leg and then the other leg. If you have a hard time conceptualizing that, you just don't see the lines. To start with, you can be a little less fluid and you can do more like stick figures. So you could do, okay, this is a line that represents the middle of the body. This is a line that represents one leg. This is where the foot, see how it's starting? It's kind of tracing over the same lines that I did, but it's sort of segmented into parts of the body. So if your brain just won't let you see the sort of fluid things, you could start it like this, and then you could go back over it, and you're still building around and correcting. So like, this arm is weird. I don't know what that arm is doing. If you really need to like get rid of something, you can take your cloth and wipe it out like that. But on top of these, you think of them sort of like, maybe bones, the inside of the body. On top of those, you can draw more information. What are the bigger shapes that your eyes see? What are the still general, still not specific, but slightly more specific information that you see in that second layer of lines? And then you can build more detail on that and start having things kind of take the detail. Okay, when you need to go to a new page, go ahead and stop. I know timer didn't go up, but it's close. When you go ahead and flip the page, just get it out of your way somehow. Tuck it up on the top of the drawing pad. If you're seated, you don't have an easel like I do, and you've got the board in front of you, just flip it up over the top of your drawing pad to get it out of the way. But whatever you do, try to keep it quick. Don't spend like 3 minutes adjusting your paper when your drawings are only 30 seconds long. One more 30-second one to show what you might have with a really quick one, and then I'll address those of you in the Life Drawing 2 class. So 30 seconds. Go ahead and start. Within the first few seconds, so my eyes kind of go like this, the shoulders cross and go down this way. One arm goes up like that, the other leg goes like that. That was 11 seconds, right? And I have enough information that you can see that it's a figure. And if that's all you get in 30 seconds, because like I said, I try a little faster than some people. If that's all you get, that's fine. Now for those of you who are in Life Drawing 2 and 3, you should know what a gesture drawing is because you've done gesture drawings before. What you're going to do is you're going to pick 3 different materials. You're going to focus on trying to get as much or as many different line types as you can out of those materials. So you could use things that you've used before, like I've got a compressed charcoal stick or a regular pencil. I've got something I've never done gesture drawings before, like I've got a brush pen. Just pick one. And what you want to think about is, how am I holding it? You can try a gesture like this. Try holding it like a regular pencil. Try holding it by the side. Try holding it tightly. Try holding it loosely. If you're using something like pencil or charcoal that you've used before, try doing a gesture in a new way. So go ahead and pick a pose. So if I'm going to do the broad side and I'm doing a gesture, well, my gestures are by their very nature, they're going to be very thick, fat lines if I'm only allowing myself to use the broadest side. Take the same pose. All right, so that's interesting, but I'm not going to start over. My easel fell over and the leg broke, but I fixed it. So we're going to take a new pose. But you get the basic idea. With the side of the charcoal and holding it very broadly, I could only make thick lines. So I'm going to have a very different kind of gesture. You're supposed to pick 3 materials. You can, once I figure out how to, there we go, things got misadjusted. You can spread it out evenly between the 3 materials. You can do like, maybe you try something and you hate it and you do like 2 of that. Well, you've got 1 of the 3 materials and that's enough. Otherwise, kind of spread it out evenly, do sort of an even amount for each of the materials, some short, some long. And try at least one thing that's completely new to you. So this is the brush pen that I haven't used before. And like I said, play around with holding it differently. I could do gestures like this. I could do gestures like this. I could do them side. I'm going to try them like this. I haven't done gestures like this before. So we'll see what that does for my line and what it looks like. And otherwise, you're continuing your practice with gesture drawing. You're focusing on seeing the general shape. So go ahead and take a pose. So something like this. Now you know how to do other types of gestures, I'm assuming anyway. If you are in Life Drawing 2 or 3, you do not have to limit yourself to just line gestures. So if you know how to do mass gestures or value gestures, you want to move away from strictly line, you can do that. So this is kind of interesting. This is kind of fun. It's not quite, it's got these sort of, it's like little short sort of choppy lines work better. I thought it might be a little more fluid, and I bet if I held it by the point, it would be. So if I did something like this, I'm going to have a very different gesture drawing than if I hold it sideways. My lines are much more squiggly and fluid and curvy, whereas when I held it sideways, they were short and choppy. So when you're trying different materials, try holding it differently, try holding it tight, try holding it loose, and do at least 3.